Hey everybody, it's Matt from the Port Orchard Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to welcome you to the Chamber's 2020 primary candidate interviews. For these interviews, we've selected three different races, the two races in the 26th Legislative District and District 2, the Kitsap County Commissioner's race, which encompasses South Kitsap and a little bit of Bremerton. All told, there's 12 candidates running for these positions. We reached out to each of the candidates using the email addresses that they used when they registered with the state. Those that got back to us, their interviews are included here. Encourage you all to watch them, to listen to them. Hopefully they will help you make better choices, but most importantly, to encourage you all to vote. Thanks and enjoy. Right now we have Alisha Beeler, and she is a Republican running for position, I think it's number one?
Number two.
Number two in the 26th Legislative District. So Alisha, do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and give us some background, please?
All right. Well, I am a Port Orchard native. My family has lived in the South Kitsap area since the 20s. I went to South Kitsap, go Wolves. I like your flag back there. My mom and all four of my uncles went to South. My grandparents went to South. They met. That's where they met. So my family's been around here a long time, so I'm really invested in the community. I'm a volunteer with the Fathoms of Fun, and I sit on the executive board with them. And I also am a seroptomist here in Port Orchard. I've done a lot of the volunteer work with Port Orchard Cares and that kind of stuff. I have two children. Olivia is 14 and Matthew, who's 8. And I work for Kitsap County, and I've been there for 14 years. I started off as a juvenile detention officer, and now I work in Superior Court. So
that's cool. All right, so let's jump into the questions here.
Okay.
So this question, is kind of geared towards the state and the job that you're going to fill. But, during these distressing times, they've caused many problems across the state. How would you propose to tackle the large budget shortfall predicted to hit the state?
So I have a really clear plan on how to tackle the budget shortfall, and the first step to that is start with zero-based budgeting, and that's when you start from the bottom and work your way up, and that way each department is getting exactly what they need and nothing more. This eliminates the year-end scramble to spend all the money that a department typically would at the end of the year, so that they get the same amount or more in the coming years. But we also pull back all the money that hasn't been spent on consumables while people have been working from home. So that, that's a lot of money right there. Number two, we use the power of the auditor to look at programs who have received money from the government. And right now, once that money goes out to the program it's going to, there's little to no oversight. And so if the programs have not used the money as intended, then we pull that money back. We've sat back and we've watched $650 million go to the homeless problem in Seattle and have seen little to no improvement. So this is just one instance where money goes out and we don't know where it's being used for after that. So we use the power of the auditor and we look at all of those programs. It's, basic auditing. Number three, we have less regulation for our small businesses. If we've learned anything from COVID, it's that the government doesn't need to be involved in every single day-to-day aspect. So, for example, when you go and were able to pick up food, you were able to get to-go alcoholic drinks. I don't see any reason why we can't continue to do that after the shutdown ends. That's just one tiny regulation that has changed. But even for the building industry, we're facing a housing crisis. So if the inspectors can go out and do an initial inspection and then maybe do the rest through photos or direct video, it would cut out the travel time, and workers can get to work immediately on any issues that the inspector finds. I also believe in doing away completely with the Growth Management Act, and I think this could help everyone. This gives more control back to our local governments and our local governments know exactly what the people need in their areas. Number 4, we don't need new taxes to make up this revenue shortfall. What we need is less spending on the part of the government. No state income tax, no GPS pay per mile. And look, it's going to hurt for a bit, but we can get through it just like we do in our households when we have to budget. It's important to have a budget and stick to it. And uncoincidentally, had the previous legislature not spent the surplus by going crazy with our money, we wouldn't have to make up this incredible shortfall. Number 5, we cut the salaries of our state college presidents by 25%, the vice presidents by 20%, and admin staff by 10%. The president of Olympic College makes more than our governor, and we have 55 community colleges across the state of Washington. So that's my plan. That's the major points of it, and I think it will save us some money.
Outstanding, thank you. So the second question is also related to economic recovery and COVID-19, but what role should the government play, if any, in the economic recovery after COVID-19?
So I think the biggest thing that could help our small businesses is to change the B&O tax. So right now, small businesses are charged on their gross income, and a lot of that goes to pay vendors, staff, and their general overhead. They should only be taxed on what they actually make. And look, this is my hometown and I love it. And during this whole lockdown, I've ordered out more, even though I love cooking. That's like my favorite thing to do. When I got my stimulus check, I went and bought gift cards at local businesses and I handed them out to people. And I think it's important that the livelihoods of people are not destroyed. We are seeing way too much of that right now. And any way we can eliminate that and help our locals, the better off we're all going to be.
All right, yeah, I support helping the locals.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you kind of touched on some of this on this next question here,
Mm-hmm.
but what is the best way to control expenses at the state level? And then the million-dollar question seems to be, do we really need more taxes?
Yeah, so the biggest role the government should play right now is just letting people get back to their lives. We've been doing this all along. We know what we're doing. We open back up. People can go back to work and regain their livelihoods that they've lost. I mean, the government shouldn't be putting more taxes into place. This only hurts people. The government should be working to cut its own spending exponentially. And the burden of COVID has already hurt the economy, and more taxes will only hurt the economic recovery and the people of Washington. So I think the government has very little role, and I think they should step back and let people do their thing.
All right. So then getting really close to home here now for us. How do you feel that you, as a legislator, could best support the small businesses in Kitsap County?
So
I guess the 26th, because part of Pierce County is the 26th also.
Right, that's true. The best way to control expenses, I think, on the state level is to actually put more control back into local hands. The commissioners, mayors, and city council members know their area more than anyone else, as I already mentioned, and they know what their people need. This includes cutting the Growth Management Act and changing the B&O tax structure so that our local communities can prosper. I cannot emphasize enough that we do not need new taxes. We don't need half of the ones we already have, and we certainly do not need more. And we don't need more to keep the state going. The issue lies with the spending problem the state has. It's more than past time to rein in spending, and that's the biggest thing that I can do for the people here.
Okay. And so then the last question, and an opportunity for you to kind of summarize and here's where you can really lay it on and give us your sales pitch is,
okay.
What makes you think you're the best person to represent South Kitsap in the 26th Legislative District?
I like how you said that with such a hard edge. I've worked for the county for 14 years. I've lived here most of my life. I'm invested in this community. And over the last 5 years, I've worked full time. I've raised my children. And during that time, I earned 3 master's degrees, one in public administration, one in public policy, and one in political science. And right now, I'm currently working on my PhD in public policy with an emphasis on social policy. Yes, I am a policy nerd. I'm not afraid to admit that. So I also did that while campaigning the last 6 months. So and I don't tell you this to brag, because it's not something I brag about. I just want you to know that I'm going to work hard for you and I'm going to get the job done. It hasn't always been easy, but I still managed to get straight A's in my PhD, and I held a high GPA in all 3 of my master's degrees. And I want what the people of the 26th want. And my energy will be focused on bringing representation with salvation with salvation to the 26th, instead of being beholden to the I-5 corridor. We need real solutions here. For too long, the state has ignored the needs that we have here in the 26th. We have road issues that need to be addressed that really should have been addressed 10 years ago. We have an Amazon warehouse going in across from the Bremerton Airport, and we have billions of dollars going into the shipyard. This is going to bring in even more people. We're already faced with a housing crisis and overburdened road system, and so we have to act now. Time is something we can't get back, and we are spending entirely too much time in traffic.
All right. Well, thank you, Alisha. It was been a pleasure speaking with you. And
Thank you, you too.
if somebody wanted to know more, hear more, contact you, what's the best ways to get a hold of you?
So you can check out my website at www.alishabeeler.com, or you can find me on Facebook at Alisha Beeler for the 26th LD House of Representatives.
Okay. All right. So I'd encourage everybody to check that out. And as always, check out our other videos in the candidate series. And again, I want to thank you. We've got a little over a week to get this all done, and hopefully these videos will help maybe change somebody's mind one way or the other. So appreciate it, Alisha. And
thank you so much, Matt.
You bet. And you have a great weekend.
You too.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.